that turns people into either the oppressed or the oppressors.
Your elected lawmakers meeting in an extraordinary session to deal with some big controversies.
A 4-year-old boy in Cache County is hit by a truck while riding his bike. A warning his mom has for parents and drivers in a story you'll only see on Fox 13 News.
I'm tracking more thunderstorms here across the state as we end the week. Our fire concerns will also ramp up. Your forecast is coming up.
A 13-year-old girl says she will never be walking alone to the park again.
I'll come here like 3 to 4 times a week almost.
The terrifying thing that happened to her and her warning to others.
It's a very serious threat. It's one of the FBI's top priorities.
A warning from an FBI agent about an overseas threat. In an interview you'll only see here. I'll show you what it is.
Right now, we are following breaking news in Juab County, where the Utah Highway Patrol is responding to what they're calling a police incident. This is a live look right now from UDOT cameras in that area. You can see cars headed southbound. They are being turned around. The interstate is completely shut down right now in both directions. This is about 13 miles north of Scipio. We do have a Fox 13 News crew on the way. We will bring you more details as soon as we learn them.
Meantime, it's been a dramatic day on Utah's Capitol Hill. There were protests and walkouts as lawmakers considered resolutions on guns and critical race theory.
Ben Winslow is live on the Hill right now. Ben.
Lawmakers met in what's called an extraordinary session to pass resolutions on critical race theory and declaring the state a Second Amendment sanctuary. Now, that's because the governor would not put it on the special session that also happened today, so they went around him.
There seems to be so much misinformation out there about what CRT is and isn't.
On the steps of the Capitol, a group pushing for educational equity urged the legislature to halt a resolution supporting a ban on critical race theory in Utah schools. They say lawmakers are pushing a ban without talking to those who actually know what it is.
Why wouldn't you include a diversity of people to talk about race? That just baffles my mind to have a conversation like this without that.
While others showed up demanding lawmakers shut it down.
CRT is a very divisive and destructive theory. What it does is it turns people into either the oppressed or the oppressors.
Critical race theory is the idea that systemic racism is in the fabric of American society. It's not taught in Utah schools, and Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to keep it that way.
Certain concepts are not part of public school curriculum.
The legislature passed the resolutions, but House Democrats walked off the floor, leaving Republicans to vote on it alone.
For me, this is about a bigger picture. This is this is beyond the CRT. What this is about is an attempt or a first step in assuring that my history and the history of many people of color are not taught in our school system in the state of Utah.
We're calling on the state school board to look at the curriculum and determine what are the right parameters for this discussion to happen.
Hopefully a call to action as well as meaningful and transformational change.
It came the same day lawmakers passed a resolution honoring Asian American and Pacific Islanders in the state and condemning anti-Asian hate crimes. But GOP leaders say it's not inconsistent with their stance on critical race theory.
You can't elevate, and you surely can't demean another person because of their race. They're so consistent. It is the same.
Meanwhile, the legislature also passed a resolution to consider making Utah a Second Amendment sanctuary. Lawmakers say there's no specific federal policies targeting guns yet.
Admittedly, there are none, but unfortunately, there's been some saber rattling in Washington, D.C.
And lawmakers today also accepted over $1.6 billion in federal COVID relief money and extended the ongoing state of emergency for drought. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In the fall, Utah students will not be required to wear masks when they go back to school. The legislature passed a bill today to ban future mask mandates in colleges, universities, and public schools. Students can voluntarily wear masks. Local health departments that need to issue a mask mandate for an outbreak will have to go through a county commission or county council.
It was very scary for him and very scary for us.
New at 5, a little 4-year-old boy was hit by a truck in the Cache Valley in broad daylight last Friday.
It's the second such incident in that area in the past 2 weeks. Fox 13's Haley Higgins has a story you'll only see here.
A rural tranquility in this Hiram neighborhood shattered.
Unfortunately, they crossed the street when the truck was coming.
When a truck hits 4-year-old Lincoln.
The truck didn't have enough time to stop.
Riding bikes with his friends, the child suddenly darts into traffic on 300 South near Canyon Elementary. The truck's bumper hits Lincoln's face.
He was hit head on.
Tires crush his bike. Lincoln lands underneath the truck's axle unconscious.
I don't even know how to explain it. You see and hear nothing except for that moment, and your heart stops.
Doctors at Primary Children's Hospital diagnosed Lincoln with 2 brain bleeds, a concussion, and facial injuries.
Driver's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. He's following the speed limits. We looked at everything, didn't really identify anything the driver would be able to do.
After 3 days in the hospital,
but you gotta have a helmet on too.
Lincoln's home. Go, bro! Riding a new bike like nothing even happened.
The way that he was hit was kind of just really a miracle. I don't know how else to explain it.
While Lincoln is expected to make a full recovery, his mom has a warning for both drivers and parents.
No, he knows not to go to the road. He stops, and it sucks that we had to learn this lesson. We tried so hard to tell him, and to teach him, but I guess it wasn't enough.
Doubling down on road safety. Come and get me! Thankful Lincoln's journey isn't over. In Hiram, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A GoFundMe page has been set up to raise money for Lincoln's medical expenses. If you'd like to donate, go to fox13now.com.
And earlier this week, the Utah County Sheriff's Office responded to a similar situation. There, a 9-year-old boy was hit on his bike. We're told he will, however, recover. The Sheriff's Office says there are things cyclists and drivers can do to keep themselves safe.
Drive as though someone is going to do something they shouldn't. If you see a young child walking along a sidewalk or riding a bike on the side of the road, and you approach them prepared to react as if they are going to jump in front of you or dart in front of you.
Sergeant Cannon there says it is important drivers give cyclists plenty of room, and cyclists should do the same for motorists. And if you are riding a bike, please make sure you wear a helmet.
Lots of active weather in Utah and around the Mountain West today. Allison, boy, these storms are refreshing, aren't they?
Yes, but they certainly pack a punch as they're rolling through. You might be like, what did I just hear? Oh, yeah, that was a rumble of thunder. We don't hear that very often here in Utah, but it will be possible for the next afternoons. Right now, 82 degrees here in Salt Lake City with our wind out of the southwest at 8 miles per hour. Here's what it looks like on radar here across northern Utah. Spotty light showers mostly from the northern third of the state, but eastern part of the state, Vernal through Duchesne, we had a strong thunderstorm that just rolled through. Still quite a bit of lightning near the Green River area, right near I-70. For the rest of the evening, we'll keep the chance for these thunderstorms for a few more hours, still about 7, 8 o'clock tonight. And then once we lose that daytime heating, we'll also lose that fuel for these storms. But temperatures here across the state currently, it's about 80 to 85 degrees. Our wind is very strong across southern Utah, Milford, all the way down into Arizona and over towards the Four Corners. That wind is gusting around 25 to 40 miles per hour. Salt Lake City tonight, 10 p.m., 70 degrees by 8 a.m., 60 as you wake up tomorrow morning. By noon, 68. So highs tomorrow won't be quite as warm as what we had today, but we'll continue later this evening with a chance for a few showers through about 9 o'clock tonight. That'll die down, and I'm tracking more wind problems the next few days. Details coming up in the full forecast.
I just knew that when I saw that gun, I had to get the gun.
We're now hearing from the Idaho math teacher who disarmed a 6th grader after the student opened fire at Rigby Middle School earlier this month. Krista Knighting spoke publicly for the first time today in an interview on Good Morning America. She was preparing her student's final exam the morning of May 6th when she heard a gunshot from down the hall. She looked out her classroom door and saw the school's janitor on the floor, shot. Investigators say the 6th grade girl student then shot 2 other students. Nighting says she saw the student holding a gun and asked if she was the shooter.
I just walked up to her and I put my hand over her hand and I just slowly pulled the gun out of her hand. And she allowed me to. She didn't fight. She didn't give it to me, but she didn't fight. And then after I got the gun, I just pulled her into a hug because I thought, this little girl has a mom somewhere that doesn't realize she's having a breakdown and she's hurting people.
Nighting says she called 911 and embraced the girl until police arrived. She says the girl began talking to her and she could tell she was very unhappy. Prosecutors say the girl is still in custody and has been charged. All 3 shooting victims are expected to recover.
There is a lot more ahead on Fox 13 News Live at 5. Learn how one kind of healthy nutrient may actually be bad for your heart.
This project was really hard, but it was a very good learning opportunity for me.
And 3 different teams of Utah students are coming together to build an animatronic cougar. We'll explain how after the break. We're bringing you up to speed if you're just joining us following breaking news in Juab County, where a police incident has shut down I-15 about 13 miles north of Scipio. You're looking south here, and as you can see, there are no cars in this picture except for the police vehicles. We do know there is a large police presence in this area right now. No other details are available at this point, and we do have a crew on the way and plan to bring you the very latest as soon as it becomes available.
On to health news now. You may have heard about the health benefits of omega-3 fatty acids, but could some omega-3s actually be bad for you? New research by Intermountain Healthcare's Heart Institute is looking at just that. A new study presented to the American College of Cardiology this week found that one particular acid in omega-3s called DHA actually decreased heart health benefits of another acid called EPA. Over the 10-year-long study, researchers also learned that patients with higher levels of DHA than EPA were more at risk for heart problems.
Certainly, you continue to eat fish and continue those healthy behaviors that go with eating fish, but look for higher EPA within the types of fish that you're eating.
Okay, the bottom line here, researchers suggest people not getting their daily omega-3s through supplements, especially in pill form.
After we're done flocking it, we added all this detail and dimension and depth to it to make it look like it was a furry cougar face.
That was one of many BYU students coming together to build an animatronic cougar. 3 teams have been working to make the cougar a reality. There is a mechanical team in charge of making the hardware that helps the cougar move. The software team helps bring the cougar to life by syncing the skeleton of the cougar to game controllers. And the theater and media arts team is giving the big cat its lifelike look.
It makes me feel very validated that my major is more than just lipstick, because that's what a lot of people think it is.
Students in charge of the lifelike look actually used a real cougar from a museum as a model for their animatronic replica.
Still ahead, a major retailer has now changed its masking policy, who it is, and what you need to know the next time you go out shopping. Right now, a warehouse fire in Salt Lake City is under investigation. It started this morning with materials that were left on the roof of Textile Care Services. That's near I-215 and Redwood Road. The facility provides laundry services to local hospitals. The crew say the materials were just too close to vents that put out hot air. They were able to put out a lot of water on the flames very quickly, so the fire went out quickly. Most of the damage was kept on the roof.
Heavy smoke and flames was seen from the structure, and it was something to behold coming down Redwood Road, I'll tell you that. Black smoke, heavy flames. Our battalion chief called for a second alarm. We had 10 apparatus here within just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, a lot of smoke here in this fire. There will likely be water damage to the building, which could impact business operations. Luckily, no one was hurt.
2 missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are dead after a head-on crash in Texas. 18-year-old elder Luke Carter from Springville and 20-year-old Eli Fowler from Pueblo West, Colorado, were killed yesterday in Denton, Texas, north of Dallas-Fort Worth. The church says the crash happened during a heavy rainstorm. The driver of the other car was sent to the hospital. Local police are investigating.
Here are today's COVID-19 numbers. More than 1.1 million Utahns are now considered fully vaccinated. The total vaccines administered in Utah is now more than 2.4 million. 430 new coronavirus cases were reported today. 4 more Utahns have died. 3 of them happened before April 19th. The 7-day positivity rate is now 6.4%.
New this afternoon, Smith's Food and Drug is updating its mask policy. Starting tomorrow, fully vaccinated customers and most fully vaccinated associates will no longer need to wear a mask. Non-vaccinated associates and associates in pharmacy and clinic locations will still be required to wear a mask. Smith's requests that non-vaccinated customers continue to mask up. In national news, more than 4 months after the January 6th riot at the nation's capital, House lawmakers are inching closer to getting to the bottom of what happened that day and preventing another attack like it.
Bob, if a bipartisan commission is approved, it would be comprised of 10 members. Democrats and Republicans would be able to choose 5 independent experts to represent them. Some moderate Republicans support the measure, but GOP leadership are opposed.
It's not at all clear what new facts or additional investigation yet another commission could actually lay on top of existing efforts by law enforcement and Congress.
Another contentious piece of legislation being negotiated is a spending bill aimed at boosting security at the U.S. Capitol. House lawmakers are expected to vote on that measure sometime tomorrow.
The Molly Tibbetts murder trial is now underway. It's been nearly 3 years since the University of Iowa student's body was found. Mexican national Christian Rivera is accused of killing Tibbetts. He said he blacked out and does not remember killing her. Today, Dalton Jack, Molly's boyfriend at the time, took the stand, remembering the woman he called the love of his life.
She was always happy, bubbly, goofy. She just liked to have fun.
In opening arguments today, the state pointed to a partial confession, video of the defendant's car and Tibbetts' blood inside the trunk of that car. Rivera's defense attorney deferred their opening statements until after the state rests its case. If convicted, Rivera faces life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Well, as far as the weather goes here across Utah, I am tracking a couple of thunderstorms that are bringing potentially hazardous conditions. The first place that we're concerned about is Utah Lake. This is a special weather statement for the areas highlighted in white for the cell that is passing over the north end of Utah Lake right now. That is until today at 5:30, so for about 15 more minutes. Now, this will potentially create hazardous boating conditions on Utah Lake because we're seeing the wind gusting about 50 miles per hour. Bigger picture here, the wind also becoming a concern, especially across the West Desert and southwestern Utah. But next area that we want to keep our eye on closely will be a special weather statement that's in effect until 5:45 near Green River right now. This is where we're seeing some wind gusting about 50 miles per hour. The cell is mostly just south of I-70. However, as that passes through, we'll have some momentary low visibility. We have quite a bit of lightning in the area, so hoping that doesn't spark up any fires. And then, of course, this is a big area. People hop off I-70 to head down towards Moab, so a lot of high-profile vehicles in the area. So we'll want to monitor this, and over the next couple of days, really keeping a close eye on our wind. So bigger picture right here, you can see it's pretty dry in the southern third of the state, and we're seeing the wind really picking up. So wind problems over the next couple of days, mostly for the southern 2/3 of the state, but particularly for the areas highlighted in yellow. That's a high wind warning. Then we've got a wind advisory also in place in beige, and then the high wind watch, that is this mustard color over here. So these will be in effect for Thursday and also Friday, depending on where you are. And if you live in the southern 2/3 of the state, what I want you to do before you go to bed tonight is, I know it's already very windy at your house currently, but make sure you're securing those loose objects. Power outages could be possible, so keep that phone fully charged. If your phone's anything like my phone and it dies really quickly, keep it at full charge in case you lose power. Areas of blowing dust could limit visibility while driving, and then of course just driving in general with strong wind gusts creates hazardous travel for high-profile vehicles. Then in addition to just the wind problems in general, we also have red flag warnings already in place for Lake Powell down into southwestern Utah, but you can see here these will also expand heading into eastern Utah. So the wind impacts next couple of afternoons. Tomorrow 4 or 5 p.m. that's when it's going to be the worst. Areas of purple could see the wind gusting more than 50 miles per hour. Then we head into Friday afternoon. We still have wind problems across eastern Utah. Temperatures here across the state currently, a lot of us are around 70 to 80 degrees, and our wind currently gusting around 30 to 40 miles per hour. Tonight, 58 degrees here in Salt Lake City, partly cloudy sky. Tomorrow, it'll be about 10 degrees cooler than today, 73 for a high, and the forecast for the next couple of days will also include some more chances for thunderstorms. We'll clear after about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. By tomorrow at 3 p.m., we have more chances for rain here across the region as our next area of low pressure begins to dip into Nevada. And then we're going to have the cool down later this week. By Friday, those will be our coolest temperatures. So for St. George, upper 80s tomorrow, 69 for Friday, low 70s for Saturday, back close to 90 by next Tuesday, and for the Wasatch Front, we'll be close to 70 through Friday, 60 for Sunday, just about, might not even make it into the 60s, and our overnight temps in the 40s and 50s.
Nowadays, a lot of stuff happens that shouldn't, and you just got to protect yourself.
This woman's 13-year-old daughter won't be walking alone to West Park and Roy ever again. Why she is so furious.
More racist graffiti in Salt Lake City. What police want you to know and how Salt Lake City's mayor is responding.
We are making that investment into the minority community to ensure that the economic future of Utah also continues to grow.
The Suazo Center in Salt Lake City is expanding to a whole nother city. On Fox 13, Spencer Joseph, what they do and how it's going to greatly impact the Hispanic community coming up.
They have been hot lately, but Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies plunged in value overnight.
That's right. Prices for the world's most popular digital asset were down more than 30%, the weakest since January. Other cryptocurrencies also plunged today. Ether, which is linked to Ethereum blockchain network, and second most valuable cryptocurrency, was down more than 22%. Dogecoin declined 26% to about 35 cents. Anxiety is spreading through the market just days after Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced his electric car maker had suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin.
It is a whole new generation of investors. Fidelity now launching new products for teens aged 13 to 17. They'll be issuing credit cards and offering investing and savings accounts. Now, these accounts would allow the teens to buy and sell stocks, Fidelity mutual funds, and many exchanges traded funds as well, without charging those teens account fees or commissions for online trading.
U.S. stocks dropped today alongside commodities, overseas shares, and Bitcoin, as we just mentioned. The Dow plunged almost 600 points in morning trading before paring its losses to just 165 points, closing at 33,896. The Nasdaq was almost unchanged, and the S&P dipped by 12.
They have a motto, what's called rob, replicate, and replace.
There's a global threat that is very real for us here in Utah. I'm Aaron Cox, and coming up next, I'm going to show you what it is and what the FBI is doing about it in an interview you'll only see here.
And a new report examines whether Utah's housing shortage is a matter of supply or something more systemic. An in-depth look with the man who ran the numbers.
We continue to follow breaking news in Juab County, where I-15 is closed in both directions about 13 miles north of Scipio due to a police incident. That's what the UHP is calling it. This video is what it looked like earlier when they were turning drivers and vehicles around at the point of this incident. Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is en route to the scene right now. She joins us live from the road. Lauren, what can you tell us?
Bob, we have been listening to police scanners as police communicate with each other about this situation, as well as checking in with multiple sources across the state. And this is a very hectic incident that's going on. From our understanding of what we are hearing, Utah County SWAT team is heading down to that area. We actually have seen the DPS helicopter leaving the valley headed south, as well as troopers racing past us as everybody tries to respond. From our understanding, it sounds like there may be a suspect with a gun, potentially an AR-15. It also sounds like there may be multiple shooting victims, potentially 2 victims that we were hearing of. Of course, this is all communication that we're getting from various sources, but a very hectic, crazy situation. So we have not been able to confirm yet with the Utah Highway Patrol or any of the law enforcement agencies what exactly is going on in that area. And as you mentioned, down in the Scipio area, we know that I-15 is closed in both directions. So for anybody who's planning travel through that area, you are going to have to go on a different route. I would imagine that this is going to be closed for some time. It sounds like this suspect is not in custody. We don't know at this point what led up to this, but we are certainly going to continue following as we drive down there right now. Bob.
Now, Lauren, whereabouts are you? I mean, are you backed up in traffic yet, or are you to that point, are you far enough south to be able to see anything at this point?
We are not far enough south at this point to be in any traffic. Like I said, we did see Utah Highway Patrol race past us with lights and sirens. We did see the DPS helicopter leaving to head south, but that's all we've seen so far. There is traffic on I-15 south. Whether people know it or not, they are going to get stuck at this road closure.
All right, Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher reporting live to us on the road. Again, if you're just joining us, an incident about 13 miles north of Scipio on I-15 has shut down the highway in both directions. You're looking at a live shot from one of the UDOT cameras in that area, and you can see a police incident, and I'm not sure if you can make out what's going on underneath that overpass, but certainly a very concerning incident. We are headed to that area, and we'll bring you the very latest as it becomes available to us. A 13-year-old girl's walk through West Park in Roy ended up with a call to police.
Sydney Glenn spoke exclusively with the teen and her mother and has a warning for everyone this evening.
At just 13, walking to the park has faced little taste of freedom. But after what happened here last night, her mom says she won't be walking here alone anymore.
I come here pretty often.
This park,
can you get higher than me?
Is a place kids like to hang out.
Nowadays, a lot of stuff happens that shouldn't.
Yesterday,
he was right there
on Faith Yeager's way here.
I was walking down to this park from my house, and I start hearing these noises.
She looked through the trees.
I see this guy with his pants down, and he's doing some gross stuff.
Terrified.
It made me really uncomfortable, and I thought he was going to start following me.
She found help.
When the dude saw them coming over, he pulled up his pants and ran.
Faith's mom just can't believe.
Very angry that it even happened.
It happened in a place like this.
She can't walk down to the park and, you know, enjoy being a kid. You have to look behind your shoulder.
Faith stays in the park.
She's not coming here alone.
Won't look the same.
Okay, you get down. I'm not going back on this trail.
So hopefully she can enjoy the park.
I'm definitely coming back to this park
without having to worry that what she saw could happen again.
He's still out there, and it's scary.
Faith says she's sharing her story in hopes that not only that man gets caught, but also that it helps prevent this from happening to anyone else. In Roy, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Roy police are still looking for that suspect. Detectives say parents should have a discussion with their children about what to do if they ever find themselves in an uncomfortable situation.
Investigators are now looking into a second incident of racist vandalism in Salt Lake City this week. In the latest case, anti-Asian graffiti was found on a car. It happened downtown at 200 West Pierpont Avenue. There's the car. You just saw photos of the suspect. And again, the vandalism. They were just released by police. Now, this comes after a swastika was found carved into the glass on the front door of a Jewish synagogue over the weekend. It happened at the Chabad Community Center at 1760 South, 1100 East. Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall says the city and police are now working with federal investigators to find the people responsible.
Finding affordable housing continues to be difficult for many Utahns, and it's most likely tied to household incomes. Today on Fox 13 News Live at noon, we spoke in depth with Salt Lake Tribune reporter Tony Samared, who found that the median household income in Utah is about $76,000 a year, but median home prices in Salt Lake County have jumped as much as $90,000 in a little more than a year.
Our incomes as Utahns have essentially kind of remained flat in real terms when you adjust for inflation since, for the last 20 years.
A recent report from the Kem C. Gardner Institute indicates 41% of renters are paying more than 30% of their income for housing, and 19% are paying more than half of their income. A global threat could be as close as your laptop or smartphone.
Fox 13's Aaron Cox talked with an FBI agent about how China is getting personal and business information that could threaten Utahns.
The devices that connect us to each other all around the world can also connect us to global threats.
If you're an American adult, it's more likely than not that China has all your personal information.
FBI Special Agent David Fitzgibbons investigates national security breaches in Idaho, Montana, and Utah.
They have a motto, what's called rob, replicate, and replace.
He says the Chinese Communist Party steals more than just your personal information. They're going after businesses and even research done by universities.
Something's not going to likely go boom tomorrow, right? Like a terrorism attack. But over the years and the decades, it is extremely significant threat to the United States and Utah.
It's a little bit of a needle in the haystack.
Pete Ashdown is the founder of X-Mission, the first independent internet service provider in Utah. From the days of dial-up to Google Fiber, Ashdown says they have a tricky relationship with China because their product is manufactured there.
Every once in a while, we see a story about China embedding software in that equipment, and not necessarily the same equipment we're using, but embedding software in equipment to essentially spy or give a backdoor or bypass a firewall to get into a company.
Software that could actually funnel sensitive info to China. Fitzgibbons says it's all about the Chinese Communist Party trying to get ahead of the United States.
If we weren't mitigating the impacts now, how bad would this be for our future?
It's significant. I mean, it could be very bad. What may be making the bottom line really good right now and profitable, in 5 years they could take your company's intellectual property.
Fitzgibbons says he's also trying to work with all universities across Utah to prevent stolen research.
We do rely heavily on our investigators through our annual attestation through conflicts of interest to report. We do have other monitoring systems in place that we would try to catch these things if they do happen.
The greatest long-term threat to the United States, including the people of Utah, is the threat from the Chinese Communist Party.
In the last year, Fitzgibbons says they have created a new task force dedicated solely to counterintelligence. He says nationwide, the FBI opens a case concerning China every 10 hours. In Salt Lake City, Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If there's any hesitation at all, they might be, you want to get in there and intervene right away.
The summer is almost here. Still to come, get that Olympic gold medalist advice, how you and your family can stay safe in the water.
And road construction in Utah is nothing new, but a project decades in the making was unveiled today. We'll show you where it is and what it could mean for Utah's tourism industry.
And I'm still tracking some thunderstorms here across the region. And heading into the next couple of days, the storms will get stronger before they ease up. Your forecast is coming up. We're back in 60 seconds.
Well, it is is that time, and as you plan your family vacations and daily activities for the summer, you really should think about keeping you and your family safe in the water. Five-time Olympic gold medal swimmer Missy Franklin says it is never too early or too late for swim lessons. She says they reduce a child's risk of drowning by 88%. Franklin says the earlier a child is exposed to water, the more comfortable they'll be around it. And if you think your child may be struggling to stay afloat, Franklin says don't hesitate to step in and help.
If they're beginning to look panicked, if they're beginning to look uncomfortable, I think flailing, a lot of splashing, anything where you can kind of just use that intuition to sense that something isn't right and immediately going to the rescue.
It's also very important that while your child is swimming, stay focused on them and don't get distracted. And while swim lessons can save lives, they can also be really fun, just getting to spend time in the water and hanging out, of course, with friends.
In southern Utah, a new 26-mile stretch of highway in Washington County is now open. UDOT began the extension of State Route 7, also known as the Southern Parkway, in 2007. This new stretch of highway now connects I-15 to State Route 9 in Hurricane. It will provide easier access to the St. George Airport and Sand Hollow State Park to residents of more remote parts of Washington County.
Minority population business owners are going to get a whole new leg up in a completely new part of the state thanks to the Suazo Center. What they're doing and how it's going to help coming up.
Plus, they're trying to boost the spirits of Utah students in their senior year. See the unique ways some members of the community are stepping in to help.
The NBA play-in tournament in the West is underway. I'll tell you what that means for the Jazz coming up in sports. We'll also hear from Rudy Gobert and Jordan Clarkson on how they're treating this week before the first-round playoff series starts on Sunday.
The Suazo Business Center now reaching a new milestone in service to business owners in the Latinx community.
As Fox 13's Spencer Joseph shows us, they hope their new location will help entrepreneurs in Utah's Latinx community succeed in a post-pandemic economy.
We help a lot of people may have an idea, but they're afraid to know what to do with it.
The Suazo Business Center is an important resource in Utah for business owners in the Latinx community.
Because they have different needs, they need different resources.
The center's mission is to provide advice and support for entrepreneurs within those communities. But located in Salt Lake City, their reach was limited. Well, that was until Wednesday when they opened their doors on an all-new Ogden location.
As we start looking at the demographics, it kind of seems overdue. Over 1/3 of the population here in Ogden City is minority. Yet there weren't really any resources that were specific designed for the minority community.
It's pretty important for Ogden, I think.
And no one knows more how important these resources are than Leon Araujo.
Many of these people are planning to open a business in a different industries.
Owner of Coffee Links in Ogden, he's the success story of the business center and now is coming back as an advisor to help others succeed.
So the idea to open the business center is help these people to succeed in their projects and their business.
The opening is also partially thanks to the city, with the center inside Ogden City's Business Information Center. And just down the road at Weber State, they're also involved, helping to offer classes with a partnership. And with the pandemic, this resource couldn't come soon enough.
What we saw is that the minority community was very heavily impacted.
Especially in the service, hospitality, and entertainment industries.
A lot of those industries are predominantly Latino.
Now more than ever, the center is proud to open this second location to help all those in need.
We are making that investment into the minority community to ensure that the economic future of Utah also continues to grow.
Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A program started last year to encourage Utah high school seniors during the pandemic is continuing to recognize them this year. Adopt a Utah Senior is a Facebook group where people can post pictures of their seniors and then somebody in the community can bring them a special gift. Last year, the group was able to adopt 4,000 high school seniors and make them feel special after missing out on so much of the school year.
For the actual seniors, I think that this really shows them that they matter in their community, that they're worth something, that people are taking the time out of their day to recognize them, complete strangers. And so I think it really builds that community involvement and helps them feel like they have a place as they're going forward with their lives.
If you'd like your child to participate in the Adopt a Senior program and have someone in the community reach out to them, or if you'd like to donate to a local senior, we can explain how to do that at fox13now.com.
Well, you know, already it's been a pretty incredible season for the Utah Jazz, and for every win they've had, they've pledged to give a full-ride college scholarship to a student from an underrepresented group.
Now that means they're giving out 55 scholarships, but the way they shared the good news was positively Utah.
I had to call and let you know, man, that you got the scholarship, you got the Utah Jazz scholarship, and I wanted to be the first to congratulate you, man.
I just want to say congratulations. You've been chosen to receive the Utah Jazz scholarship.
It's all yours. Congratulations. Yeah, no cap.
You're lying.
No, I promise you, I would never lie to you.
You've been selected for the scholarship, so.
No, you're joking. You're lying.
Man, I'm telling it down. I wouldn't lie to you, bro. You got it. You've been chosen to receive the Utah Jazz scholarship, bro. Congratulations. Congratulations.
That's amazing news. This is actually pretty awesome to have Rudy telling me this.
The sky is the limit. Keep soaring, keep being you, and keep striving for greatness.
Can you imagine that? Getting a call like that? Jordan High School student Davian Raheem Washington was one of those students. He got a call from Mike Conley and learned he's getting a free ride to the University of Utah. He says this is a huge stress relief for his family. Looking back, he says the phone call still seems surreal.
And I wanted to congratulate you on being selected for the Utah Jazz scholarship.
You're joking.
Not at all, man.
I honestly thought it was just an interview. So they sent me an email and they were just like, oh, you're gonna get a call and we're gonna do another interview so you can have the scholarship from 5 to 7. And so I was like, had like a ring light all set up because I was like, I gotta look good for this, you know? And so I had it all set up and I was sitting there waiting and I was like falling asleep too. I was like nodding off and all of a sudden I got the call. And so I just answered it and it took me a bit to like realize like, oh, that's Mike Conley.
What a phone call. Davian wants to study pre-med and one day become a physician. He says he's just as happy for the other students who are receiving the scholarships and hopes they all get to meet in the future.
Well, I'm tracking a dry thunderstorm located right now over Alpine that is moving towards the northeast, and this does have a special weather statement that does include Park City right up towards I-80 all the way over through Heber until 6:15, and we are seeing some wind gusting more than 50 miles per hour with that dry thunderstorm. We look at the bigger picture here across northern Utah, and you can see it's still pretty spotty showers, and then another special weather statement. This one was for the Green River area that just expired, but now it's been reissued as that storm continues to make its way towards the east. This one will go until 6:30, includes I-70 just east of Green River, and we're seeing that wind gusting more than 50 miles per hour, and also quite a bit of lightning with that cell as it moves through. Now for southern Utah, fire concerns as we have warm and windy conditions and also just dry conditions across southern Utah. And we look at the bigger picture here, and you'll notice it's the entire region that has unsettled weather. So next couple of days, big fire concerns. We already have red flag warnings in place for Lake Powell all the way over towards southwestern Utah, up towards Milford right now, and that will go until Friday. Then we also have a high wind warning in yellow that you're seeing here, wind advisories for eastern Utah, and we'll also have a high wind watch that kicks into effect. So that'll be tomorrow. That wind is going to become the strongest for Thursday afternoon. But right now, our current temperatures around 70 to 75 degrees for the Wasatch back, 80s, low 80s for the Wasatch Front. St. George currently 93 degrees, 81 for Cedar City. But we look at our wind gusting currently here across the state, and we've got that wind gusting about 45 miles per hour from Moab, Wasatch back very strong, and up to about 50 miles per hour with the strongest of the thunderstorms that are moving through. Now, our fire weather forecast really ramps up tomorrow. We're looking at about 3/4 of the state with high fire danger. Then come Friday, we bring that fire danger even a little further north up into southern Idaho, and then really focus on eastern Utah for the wind on Friday. But we're going to have breezy conditions here across the state, actually just downright windy. That's more wind than breezy, and then very windy conditions at times tomorrow afternoon. For Salt Lake City, we cool down by Sunday, a high only in the upper 50s. Besides that, highs will be around 60 to 75 over the next week. So let's talk about the next couple of afternoons, because I am tracking our next low pressure system as it drops in and it just kind of settles over the Great Basin. But what we're going to have here across Utah for Friday afternoon, more chances for showers. Bulk of that precipitation stays into Nevada. And then by Sunday, we have more chances for rain and snow here across the state. Future precipitation, mostly about 1/10 of an inch of rain, mostly less than 1/2 of an inch of rain for Utah, but into Nevada, looking at more than 1/2 of an inch of rain. First thing tomorrow morning, it'll be around 55 to 60. Highs tomorrow will be around 70 to 75. St. George, you're cooler for this upcoming weekend. By Friday, 74 a high. Same thing for Saturday, back into the 80s for Monday, but windy through the end of the week. And for the Wasatch Front, close to 70 through Friday, mid 60s for Saturday, cooler for Sunday. More chances for thunderstorms over the next couple of days, so stay weather aware.
Tonight is the first round of the NBA play-in tournament in the Western Conference, but we won't find out who the Jazz will play in their first round series until Friday night. The winner of the Lakers-Warriors game advances to the 7th seed and will take on the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the playoffs. The loser will play the winner of tonight's other play-in game between the Spurs and Grizzlies. The winner will play the Lakers-Warriors loser on Friday for the 8th seed and a first-round playoff series against the Jazz. Meanwhile, the Jazz have enjoyed a couple of days off before getting back together as they start to gear up for that first-round playoff series, which starts Sunday at Vivint Arena. Today's media availability, Joe Ingles was asked about Donovan Mitchell's return. Didn't give us any breaking news. He said we're excited to have him back. Whenever he's healthy, we'll have him back. The Jazz will play the playing game, or watch the playing game tonight and prepare for a tough first-round series no matter who ends up as the number 8 seed.
Those games are going to be fun to watch. I think, I'm excited to watch those games. And whoever we face, we know that it's going to be a long journey, and we're going to be ready to face whoever we face.
We got a big run in front of us. But definitely with this week off, it's going to be a lot of treatment and getting right and getting ready for the playoffs. Whoever we play, the West ain't no fluke at all. So it's really good teams, 1 to 10. So whatever, you got to lace them up and come to play.
Real Salt Lake started the season 2-0 and since have finished with a loss and a draw. RSOs get ready to face FC Dallas on the road this weekend. Head coach Freddie Juarez says despite some players battling injury and 2 finishes that weren't in the win column, he likes what he's seeing from his team and he's happy with where they are at so far.
I think everyone's been pretty sharp. If I would go back to every single game, I think I would rate all my players 7 or higher. It's consistency and good effort and good quality. Of course, we'd like to be 4-0, but I haven't left a game and I haven't left a training session where I'm just like, oh my gosh, we didn't have it today. That leads me to believe that the guys are all ready and they're all decent in good form. 4 game into the season form, but I think overall pretty sharp.
And the Salt Lake Bees announced that Smith's Ballpark will be back to full capacity on May 27th when the Bees start a 6-game homestand with the Round Rock Express. So enjoy some baseball. We'll be right back.
Going back to the breaking news we've been telling you about this hour, I-15 is closed in Juab County in both directions, 13 miles north of Scipio. It's a major police incident, we understand. Utah County SWAT is on the way to the scene. Our crew is also headed to the scene. A DPS helicopter is also headed to that direction. We, of course, are going to keep an eye on this. If you are headed north or south through that area, be advised I-15 will be closed for some time.
All the updates on our Facebook page and our website, and of course tonight at 9.